Hey guys, Dana here. Welcome back to the Kentucky Doom Scrollers podcast. Today is Monday, February 12th. It is the day that Taylor Swift went to a ball game, and I think somebody won in overtime. Woohoo! But we're going to be talking about some of the hinky things that were going on behind the scenes while all of the media's attention and the general public's attention was wrapped up in this ceremonial ritual ball game. Kind of silly. I don't generally encourage people to watch my videos, but in this case, I'm going to be running through a couple of different articles, and you may want to go back for your own reference. Look these things up. Never believe anything that I say. Assume that I'm lying. I look forward to you trying to prove me wrong. I look forward to being wrong about some things. There are some things I predicted years back. One being that I didn't think that our president was going to make it even a year or two into office, but it looks like they are getting ready to finally give him a swift kick down the steps and have him bow out for some reason. The names that they're running are hilarious because it's Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. You do need to fact check me. Everything I'm saying is conspiracy theory nonsense. It's all allegedly scripted for entertainment purposes only from this point forward. Okay. So they're getting ready to either run Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom. The fact that they aren't even considering running Kamala Harris tells you everything that you need to know about the way she's generally perceived in our country, even among Democrat women voters. I mean, you've really got to fuck up to piss off the female Democrat voters, okay? But the stories we're going to be talking about today is everybody's attention was focused on the Super Bowl yesterday. And this is just part of the bread and circuses political party under which we all exist. You know, we think we have this left, right, Republican, Democrat, liberal, and conservative. We really don't. There is one overarching uniparty, and it is built upon the backs of um, the worship of demonic entities. And we're going to be getting a lot into some very dark topics related um, um, to death and spirituality and the interplay of religion and government control and all that. This is going to be a deep dark dive. So I want everybody to kind of be prepared. I am going to be pulling up some I have everything from articles to memes, like to help explain the point. And I hope that it helps you make some sense of what we're seeing and why I generally don't have many conversations, conversations nowadays about things like the Super Bowl. And even my husband is a former football fan. I mean, we're from Philly, so like the Philadelphia Eagles have always been our team. They finally went to the Super Bowl. We got to be in Philadelphia for that. Um, but there were some changes that happened around the Summer of Love that I found so detestable that I just can no longer enjoy it anymore. And it's unfortunate because I did enjoy that. And so I was certainly not judging people that are still into those things, but I personally have just found so much about the organization to be detestable in and of itself that I can't possibly support it with my finances anymore. So, or my attention, you know, we pay attention, like we have to pay our bills, we have to pay attention to certain things. And so the commercialization and the halftime show wasn't as bad as I expected. It looked like Usher actually was singing his music. Somebody I may be wrong about that. To me, watching it on my phone, not blown up and, you know, on a big screen or anything, it looked that way. But I know they usually have some kind of vocal backups. We're going to be talking about the news stories that were more or less obscured by the fanfare around the Super Bowl. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen here. As always, I appreciate your patience because this is all new for me. We're going to start with this kind of frightening story for me as someone that attended a church, a large church in Philadelphia. We have Joel Osteen's church, which is in Lakewood, Texas. It's like a few miles, I think, right outside of downtown Houston. A woman roughly 30 to 35 years old walked into Joel Osteen's church accompanied by a 4 to 5 year old. She was wearing a trench coat and carrying a long gun. Um, There were two off-duty police officers that engaged with this female once she started shooting. A man was, I think, shot in the leg. It was serious, but not life-threatening. Uh, and two off-duty police officers uh, engaged the suspect. Now, unfortunately, was the child part of an intention to? I hate God. This is very dark. The child was in all likelihood, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes, only used as a human shield because she walked in apparently with this 4 to 5 year old child. That child was shot in the crossfire as the off-duty police officers engaged the shooter. They were able to neutralize the suspect and take her down, and they're really not revealing much about in terms of the motive. Now, at the time, the church was in between services and they were preparing and making announcements in Spanish because obviously in Texas there's a large Spanish speaking population. Joel Osteen's church serves approximately 45,000, sees 45,000 um, uh, churchgoers, let's just say, a week. And so the off-duty police officers did what they had to do, but they're not revealing any details like name or motive. Um, After she was injured in the crossfire, she did say that there were explosives. They did not find any evidence of explosives. They've done, sweeps of the whole church. However, there's this super weird story here. The second paragraph in, it says she was also spraying, quote, some type of substance on the ground, Finner said, but he did not share further details. It seems relevant to me. I mean, we're in an age of like biochemical warfare, and we're not going to like ask some questions. Like, okay, well, all of this sounds very MK Ultra-y to me. And if you're unfamiliar with it, it's when um the CIA used narcotics, unwitting subjects in red light districts and prisoners and military personnel to test mind control substances. Um, and this goes through everything from the screen that you're watching this on to the drugs that are commonly found in our food, water, and air today. So this to me speaks very highly of somebody's mind being hacked either by um, detrimental religious programming of some kind. Um, I'm almost afraid to say what it sounds like, but to me, it does sound like there may have been a religious or ethnic motivations to this because their complete lack of willingness to provide more details is what makes me think there's something deeper than just, oh, random lady having a bad day decided to go in and shoot up a church because that's dark. Okay. So for me, this speaks to blood sacrifice. This speaks to ritualistic mind control type behavior. The lack of information to me speaks that this is going to be highly censored in terms of trying to get any more details. And I thought that alone was kind of weird enough. A house of worship on a Sunday, on Super Bowl Sunday. Like, this is all very okay. Like, this is a lot, right? But then I also heard this story late last night that a Nigerian bank CEOs from The Guardian and his family were among 6 killed in a California helicopter crash. Okay. So he's the CEO of a bank. What's it called? The Access Bank. Herbert Wigwe. His wife, Doreen, and son died in the crash, along with former group chairman. The former group chairman of Nigeria's stock exchange. Those identities, I can't pronounce these names, I'm sorry. These identities were first released via a post on X. Okay, so what happened? There was a helicopter that went down somewhere over the Mojave Desert when they were attempting to transport this family via helicopter to the Super Bowl. Okay. Are we seeing a common thread here when we talk about these things being rituals? Is it the Super Bowl or is it the superb owl, like Molech? The one they burn in effigy at these ritualistic gatherings that they have. Okay. This stuff sounds less crazy because the more you understand the symbolism, the more you understand it's almost the only thing that makes sense in this super weird, backwards, upside down world we live in. Okay. So he went down somewhere, him and his family, six, there were two pilots and the three family members and then the other former chairman, right? So um, this is very, very, very sad. But then I started thinking, this is very coincidental. And then I started thinking, I don't believe in coincidences though. And then I started thinking, hmm, I wonder if Nigeria at any point was trying to get away from the dollar. Because if I were a crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, I would say that there is this crazy coincidental pattern that seems to happen to African leaders who step out of line with what the United States or the new Roman Empire, however you want to refer to us, um, you try to step away out of line, that's when we have some democracy to bring to you. But these things that have been happening recently, it's just too much to be a coincidence, you guys. Nigeria's non-invitation to join BRICS membership following invitations sent to Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates reflects the country's unimpressive foreign policy. They don't, is it, that's odd. You know, if I was a crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, I'd be thinking back to that time in 2020 when everything kind of like hit the proverbial fan. And then there were the string of African leaders that had vocally rejected um the the genetic modification human experiment that took place in 2021 and forward. Um and these leaders like rejected it and then like they all kind of died, right? And I was like, wow, that's really crazy. I should check that out because that would be a crazy story if it were true. And then I was like, whoo, okay, breath of fresh air, because Reuters has made sure to let us know that these things are simple conspiracy theories. They weren't killed for opposing the COVID-19 vaccination. What happened? I mean, there was four of them. They all, kind of spoke out and just rejected the Bill Gates clot shot that now has people's mRNA writing its own spike protein programming in their body, and then for alleged entertainment purposes only. If you're entertained, I'm a little concerned for your health. Anyway, social media users made this connection between these four African leaders who spoke out against or rejected batches of the COVID-19 vaccine because they didn't trust it. It's weird. It's like they don't trust a history of white philanthropists who believe in eugenics to give them vaccines, even though said eugenicists actually said that that's part of the program to bring the population down. And they still don't trust them. Like, they need some tinfoil hats over there. Okay. One died of cancer, and fair enough. Do you think that they can't give you cancer? Two are suspected of having died of COVID-19. Now, here's where I struggle with this. Two of them died of COVID-19 after rejecting help for the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the reasons that Africa fared so well, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, not medical advice, always trust your white coats, is that one of the medications that are used to treat malaria is also pretty effective in fighting off the Myshoronovirus. So it's really interesting to me that they would die like of COVID 19, you know? And then one was a death was attributed to two are suspected, and the one death was directly attributed to the respiratory disease. Okay. Do you think that they can't give you cancer? Do you think that they are incapable of creating physical problems within the body? And yeah, for detractors, this is a meme. It's on Facebook. It's my meme. I posted it and I fact checked it. These patents exist. This technology exists. The book I highly recommend to people. It's called The Pentagon's Brain by Annie Jacobson. It talks about technology they're able to use wherein they implant a brain into like a half-dead cockroach and essentially create this cyborg bug that can be remote controlled, that can then actually reproduce, and then the offspring of that, like, reproduce with a regular normal alive bug, reproduce, and those children are then are able to be remote controlled by the same technology that the birth parent is remote controlled by. These things are already things that they have had patents for. So this that I'm showing you here is 100% actually true. I have grave concerns about these things for a number of reasons. Not just the fact that they have essentially taken control of our health in every aspect, from the air we breathe, the experiments that they do, and if you want to say up in the stratosphere part of the atmosphere, it doesn't matter, like what you spray up there doesn't eventually end up down here, because our atmosphere keeps it in the vast vacuum that is space, even though there's no container for it, because people who believe in firmaments are stupid. So we need a giant detox here, friends. I don't know that we are prepared to do what would need to be done to bring us back from truly the brink of extinction event that we're quickly approaching, in my estimation. I don't know that I have like a firm timeline. What I know for absolute certain is that in January, February of 2020, I began to feel very, very deep, very dark spiritual darkness. I'm not saying something because my mother died 2 years earlier and I was actually coming out of that and I was starting to, take back my health. But I knew in January, February of 2020 that something was wrong. And by the time they announced these shutdowns, I knew that things were never going to be the same. And I've been right about most of those things. Again, the Joe Biden thing, I missed that one. I'm happy to be wrong about these things. I don't want to be a doomsayer, doom scroller. I think that what is happening is that social media and the sharing of videos like this in real time are making it possible for people um, all over the world to be able to connect with one another in real time. Gone are the days of waiting for a letter to go, via vessel, which may or may not make it, which I guess is why you put it in a sealed bottle. I don't know how this stuff works. Gone are the days of that. We can instantaneously send messages from one place to a whole nother place. Sharing videos like these, getting the word out. All of those things raises the human consciousness, and then the less and less we're buying onto their bullshit. And again, because it's the paying of attention to these people that they really need in order to continue on with the tyrannical nonsense that has become our day-to-day existence. But those days are coming quickly to a peaceful end for them. There doesn't have to be any kind of action taken, although there should, defensive action is clearly somebody's God-given right, but there needs to be no offensive action taken. I've always said it is peaceful, nonviolent, non-compliance was always the way out of this. No, I will not wear a face diaper. No, I will not stop going to church. No, my church will not close down. No, I will not stop doing X, Y, and Z. No, I will not get your experimental hokey pokey. There never needed to be all of that. The only reason that 2020 happened is because human consciousness was so dull because of generations of poisoning through vaccines, through the food, through the air, through the water. We need people to wake up to that so that they can begin to take corrective action in as best as their resources allow. You know, given an unlimited budget, my health could be significantly better. But that's not the reality for most of us. Certainly more of us than ever now, right? I mean, think about where you were 5 years ago versus today, in terms of financial security, the ability to get food, medicine, and care, let's say medical care, compared to now. Are you telling me there hasn't been a huge difference? And by difference, I mean, it sucks, it's going down. Peaceful noncompliance could have saved all of this. The decimation of public trust in public school system, in medicine, in higher education. I mean, it peaceful noncompliance is and always was the way out. And it really is that simple. Keep that in mind because the next round of bullshit that's coming is going to be even worse. What we have now is, let's go back to this. We've talked about this on the channel before. I believe it was with Matt. Let me get to, here we go. Perfect. That's what I was looking for. It's part of the subversion process, and it's also known as fifth generational warfare. I mean, it's known by different things to different people just because of the way culture and whatnot works. And we're really at a point where I feel like the demoralization process in the middle here that we're talking about, that's 10 to 15 years long, politicized, commercialized entertainment. Can we say that more? Entertainment and music and things like the Super Bowl, they're the first part of this, is controlling the pop stars. You think that a guy of, I mean, I just don't know. Okay. So you got Travis Kelce, right? And then the biggest pop star in all the world, they're like in love now, and she's hanging out with his family. Now, previous to this, he was known for dating, let's say, women of color. So Taylor's a little bit of a departure from his usual choice in women, but they just so happened to meet and really hit it off, and now they're like in love, and she hangs out with their mom, and it's totally generic and genuine, and she's not still flying her private jet all over the world, creating a larger carbon footprint than any of us could probably ever dream of if you've gotten this far into the video. We've been through this destabilization phase now. Um, I don't know that we're going to get to a 2024 election. It will be very curious to see for me. If and when we do or don't, we're probably going to hit this crisis mode. And then we're going to have the normalization of whatever kind of crisis they throw at us next. I think the 2020, the COVID, that I think that it was a run up to what they plan to do this time. Whether that means they actually release a truly fatal or much more serious bug on us. There are any number of ways through which they could do it. I watch guys spray us all the time here. So yeah, it's getting a little, I'm having a little bit of a rough time coming up with some bright spots for this. I really think, however, the easiest thing for people to do in their day-to-day life is to just make other people aware of it and to use this information to make best choices for what you can and are willing to pay attention to. And remember that your time and attention is its own form of currency. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be giving dollars, but you are paying attention just by even letting these advertisement companies kind of into your brain. Like, just think about how weird the commercialization of the commercials during the Super Bowl is. Just, I mean, people, okay, so like, do you see what I mean? It's just degradation upon degradation. It's like, how can we take something that's already, um, you know, a ritualistic thing that, and now we have all these weird deaths and accidents on the day of that are basically being swept under the rug by the news cycle because I guess Taylor Swift wore something nice to the Super Bowl and with other famous rich people. And I don't know, big deal. If you've gotten this far into the video, I do appreciate your time and attention. I think the more we bring our time and attention to the right things, the good things, we can find the truth in all of it. And the truth is out there, it does exist, and there are people who are doing the right things. We have to be very selective with allowing certain things into our human consciousness. And I guess that's kind of the takeaway here. If you could please like, share, follow with anybody that is still worshiping things like the NFL. Like there's a day and a time when that might have been the right thing to do, but we're way past that. So I appreciate your guys' time and hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. Take it easy.